Well, good day. I hope you're not distracted by the babbling brook in the background. It is quite lovely. I'm going to give you a shot of that. Yeah, I got out of the office today, and today I wanted to actually talk to you about the pivot. What is the pivot? Yes, the question is, well, the pivot is how do you adjust to failure? So let's get into that. First of all, I'm Terry. This is Alternative Influence Coaching. This is our vlog. And thank you for joining us. I'm pulling steps from my book, A Failure's Guide to Business Success, where yes, there's a team of us, help others, maybe just like you, figure out their path through entrepreneurship and into profitability and success. So it's not as cold as it may sound. There are a lot of things that go into this. There are a lot of things that about yourself and your personal development that play a large role in your business success. They are exactly interchangeable. So yeah, we'll wrap that all back around to today. And what does your failure look like? Clearly, we've all had those times where we have plotted, we've come up with a plan or an idea, and we've done our best to jot that idea down and put one foot in front of the other. Some of us have gotten far enough to where we've either business loans or partnerships, contracts and paperwork, and then a problem arises and our business hits a roadblock, it hits a wall, stuck in the mud. What do you do then? What have you done then? I'll tell a little story about about 15 years ago. I was running a maintenance crew, running a lawn and landscape crew. We were doing an irrigation job, and I had one helper, about 16 years old, a little rough around the edges. And I was working on this job with my boss, the owner of the company, and we had talked several times about this kid, and we've given him plenty of chances. Well, this is time to go. This guy worked sluggishly. He had some work ethic issues. So we had made up our mind that it was time to go. The chances were given, and there was no change. So I got elected to do the firing because I was stretching my wings as a manager, as it were. So I was also trying to impress my boss. So he's like, I want you to take care of it. Okay? So he said, just one rule, don't do it on the job site. So I didn't. I waited. It was a Friday. I waited till the end of the day. We took off in the truck, me and the helper, left the owner at the job site at the person's residence. And he was talking with the homeowner, and he was cleaning up some additional things. And we took off. I got a block down the road, and I stop and I say, hey man, it's not working out. There's some things that we needed you to do, and it's, take this as a learning opportunity and go find something that fits your personality. Well, that boy hopped out of the truck and took off running back to the residence house where the owner was and begged for his job in front of the homeowner. Oh man, it was such a train wreck. The owner of the business, my boss, actually diffused the situation. He did a pretty good job calming the guy down and saying, let's talk about this when we get back to the shop, back to the office. Let's figure it out. Let's work it out. It wasn't pretty when we got back to the office either. There were lots of tears. The kid was obviously devastated. He'd never been let go. He needed the job. All those things he didn't consider when he was given the warnings. Why do I tell you this story? I'll tell you this story because I learned valuable lessons that day. I failed to do the thing that I was asked to do. I failed to keep the plan. Now I thought I was keeping it close enough. I was on the job site, but we weren't far enough away from the job site just in case something like what happened, right? When the guy took off running back to the job site and made a huge scene. So valuable lessons I learned, and I learned to pivot from there. I also learned to, in that moment too, to have a deeper relationship with a coworker or employee so that these issues can be brought up sooner, and ask them if they think that they're a fit, right? So a couple of takeaways from that situation for me personally. I definitely, from that point on, listen to my boss, my mentor. Still a longtime friend of mine. I don't do that again. It's a long story short there, right? So what does that look like for you? There are other, we've got lots of other pivot stories. That's how we learn. If you're not hitting a wall and making an adjustment, you're probably having a really hard time in the world of business. Probably really discouraged, and you keep, sometimes you get depressed because you keep hitting that wall, right? And you keep hitting the wall and you come up with a new idea and you hit a wall again. When you come up with another idea and you hit a wall again. Instead of learning from that stop, learning from that failure, flipping the script a little bit and modifying your plan to take another step past that wall. Maybe it's the same wall every time. You have to ask yourself that question. Am I the reason for the failure? If I am, what am I doing wrong? And how do I learn from what I'm doing wrong and make the necessary adjustments? So it's hard to get those answers out of yourself sometimes, for sure, right? That's why we're here, and that's why we have a job. That's why coaching helps. That's why mentorship is important. So if you got a mentor, maybe you go there first. A trusted friend, family member, an advisor of some sort. If you don't, or maybe you do and you still want help, then we're always here for you. We can help. We want to help. It's what we do. We've helped lots of people in these same situations. Been doing this for 20 years. 15 of those years, 15 years ago, I was firing a young kid on a job site. So there you go. I've been coaching and mentoring and managing, leading for a long time. So I've got a couple of ideas for you if you want to hear. So I want to leave you with that today. In your failures, do they end you? Or can you pivot? That's all for today, guys. We'll see you soon.